Welcome back to our Explainer series. Today, we're putting on our trainer hats and guiding you through Part 29, which is all about mastering claim denials through appeals, reconsiderations, and provider disputes. Now, if you spend any time at all working in healthcare revenue cycle management, you know that getting a denial from a payer, that's rarely the end of the road. Actually, scratch that. It's exactly where the real work begins. Today, we're going to empower you to fight back against those denials efficiently and effectively. All right, here's our agenda for today. We've got appeals and disputes defined, corrected claim versus appeal, anatomy of a complete appeal packet, appeal timeframes and workflow tracking, our standard caller note template, and we'll wrap up with a quick knowledge check. Okay, let's dive right into Section 1, Appeals and Disputes Defined. You know, it's incredibly easy to use terms like appeal or reconsideration interchangeably on the floor, but to a payer, these are very, very distinct legal pathways. We've got to be precise here. An appeal isn't just some casual request for money. It is a formal, structured dispute mechanism used when you actually have the clinical documentation or contractual guidelines to prove a claim was incorrectly denied. Think of it like presenting a case in a mini courtroom. You're basically telling the payer, look, we provided this service, you denied it based on your policy, but here is the definitive proof that your denial is flat out incorrect. You're not asking for a favor. You are enforcing your healthcare provider's contract. Let's look at the hierarchy of dispute resolution. Notice how a claim can escalate from a basic reconsideration request all the way up to an independent external review. We start at the top with a reconsideration. This is often just a quick, informal request to reprocess a claim or review a simple coding decision. But if that fails, or if you're dealing with a really complex medical necessity denial right out of the gate, you escalate to a Level 1 appeal. If they still say no, you push to a Level 2 appeal, which goes to a secondary, completely independent internal committee. And finally, if the clinical nuance is just getting lost in all the paperwork, a peer-to-peer review lets your physician speak directly with the payer's medical director. Moving on to Section 2, Corrected Claim or Appeal. Knowing exactly when to send a corrected claim versus when to file a formal appeal is a massive decision-making point. Getting this wrong, it'll trap your claims in endless denial loops. The crucial takeaway here is that you submit a corrected claim just to fix simple billing errors. But you must file a formal appeal when you need to actively argue against a payer's clinical or contractual denial using supporting evidence. For instance, if your coding team reviews a denial and says, "Oh, oops, we used the wrong diagnosis code," you definitely don't write a long, drawn-out appeal letter. You just fix the data and submit a corrected claim. But if the coding team says, "No way, the code is totally correct, the patient absolutely needed this service," or if the payer claims you missed the timely filing deadline but you have the transmission receipt to prove you didn't, well, that is exactly when you must file a formal appeal. Up next, Section 3, Anatomy of a Complete Appeal Packet. Once you've determined an appeal is actually necessary, you need to know how to build a winning submission packet. Sending a half-finished appeal is basically doing the payer's job for them. You're just giving them an easy excuse to uphold the denial. Missing even one tiny document can reset the payer's clock entirely. So always ensure a clean, accurate copy of the CMS 1500 or UB04 claim form is securely attached. Notice the emphasis on the CMS 1500 here. Even if you originally billed electronically, paper appeals often require a physical printout of this classic red ink form. It grounds your entire dispute in the foundational billing data. Without it, the payer's intake team might literally just toss your appeal into the rejection pile. Consider this your ultimate checklist. Your cover letter introduces the main argument, while your EOBs, medical records, and policy references provide the undeniable proof you need to actually overturn the denial. If you're disputing a medical necessity denial, your operative notes are your best friend. If you're fighting a timely filing limit denial, your proof of timely filing, or POT-FL, is your absolute golden ticket. And always include a copy of the denied explanation of benefits. You've got to show them exactly what decision you're asking them to reverse. All right, Section 4, Appeal Timeframes and Workflow Tracking. Timing is absolutely everything in revenue cycle management. A perfect, bulletproof appeal packet is totally useless if it arrives on the payer's desk even one day late. Look at how these standard deadlines stack up. If a payer has a 60-day timely filing limit and they deny your claim, you typically have a strict 90-day window to file your appeal. That's usually followed by a 30 to 60 days service level agreement for their response. Now, keep in mind these are standard commercial timelines, and every contract can be slightly different, but the rhythm remains the same. The clock starts ticking the very moment that denial hits your system. You absolutely cannot afford to let complex denials sit in your work queue for weeks on end. So how does this build into your daily routine? First, select the best submission route. Portals are usually the fastest.
Then, meticulously log your tracking IDs right in the billing system and set a hard, non-negotiable reminder for that 30-day follow-up. That's step 3. That is where so many healthcare providers lose revenue. You send the appeal out into the void and just kind of assume it's being handled. Let me tell you, it isn't. You have to proactively call and verify it was received and is actively pending review.
Section 5. Standard caller note template. To ensure absolute consistency across your entire RCM team, the golden rule of RA applies. If it isn't documented, it didn't happen. Whenever you document an escalated dispute, your note must definitively capture the denial date, the exact time frame provided by the payer rep, the required documentation, like that POTFL we talked about, and the specific mailing address. By using a rigid, standardized template like this in your billing system, you ensure that if another AR associate has to follow up on your account next month, they know exactly what you did, who you spoke to, and what the deadline is. No guesswork, no wasted time.
And finally, Section 6, Knowledge Check.
Okay, let's solidify your understanding of these concepts with a quick little test. Question 1. According to the standard commercial appeals process, what is the specific definition of a Level 1 appeal? Think back to that dispute resolution hierarchy we talked about. What separates a Level 1 appeal from a simple reconsideration? I'll give you a second to lock in your answer. Moving on. Question 2. If your coding team informs you that an incorrect diagnosis code was originally submitted, should you file a formal appeal or submit a corrected claim? Remember the distinct difference between fixing a simple data entry error and disputing a clinical decision. This is a super common trap that slows down cash flow tremendously. So, which path do you choose? And question 3, what specific essential document must accompany your appeal packet if the claim was denied for expiring past the timely filing limit or TFL? If the payer explicitly states you were too late, what exact piece of evidence do you need to include in your submission to prove them wrong? Let's see how you did. Here are the answers. Mastering these tactical distinctions will ensure your healthcare provider avoids losing thousands of dollars to completely avoidable procedural write-offs. So for number 1, a Level 1 appeal is a formal request based on medical necessity. For number 2, if coding made a mistake, you just send a corrected claim. And for number 3, if you're fighting a timely filing denial, you absolutely must include your proof of timely filing or POTFL. So what you should really take away from this explainer is that mastering appeals is all about combining bulletproof clinical evidence with absolutely ruthless operational organization. Ask yourself, how many thousands of dollars is your healthcare provider leaving on the table right now simply by missing a 30-day follow-up or using the wrong submission pathway? That wraps up our explainer on managing appeals and reconsiderations. Share and subscribe for free courses on Decode Healthcare with Harshal.